Well, our next story here takes us to Washington, where Governor Inslee signed a bill that lowers the threshold for police officers to engage in high-speed pursuits. Let's bring in Mike Benner now from Clark County. So, Mike, break this down for us.
Yeah, Brittany, a couple of years ago, a new Washington law made it more difficult for law enforcement to get involved in pursuits. Well, this new bill signed into law today gives law enforcement a little more freedom, something not everybody agrees is necessary. Wednesday afternoon in eastern Washington, Governor Inslee signs Senate Bill 5352. The new law will change the landscape of police pursuits across the state.
I think it goes a big step in the right direction.
Sergeant Chris Skidmore of the Clark County Sheriff's Office is feeling optimistic about the new law, and here's why. The new law modifies the requirements for law enforcement to engage in pursuits. For instance, instead of needing probable cause to pursue a suspect, now officers will need only reasonable suspicion.
Reasonable suspicion means I have enough facts to kind of articulate that says it's most likely you, but I don't quite have all the pieces yet. So when we think about rapidly evolving and dynamic situations, a lot of times when we initially counter some of these vehicles, they're going to be in the context of it matches the description, it's in this right place at the right time. We have that reasonable suspicion threshold to initiate for a serious crime.
Serious crimes like murder. But the new law adds other offenses that suspects can be pursued for. Things like vehicular assault and domestic violence assaults.
The pursuit is something definitely that as law enforcement, at least here in the Southwest, here at the Sheriff's Office, we've always used pretty judiciously. It's not something that we've chased everybody with a burnout taillight or that kind of thing. And that's certainly not what we want to do.
But like with any piece of new legislation, there will be people who have reservations. In this case, one of the critics is Washington State Representative Darya Farivar. Listen to what she had to say at a hearing back in March.
I'm really concerned about the lives that are currently being lost, that will be lost from this, both the subject of pursuits, bystanders, passengers, and law enforcement as well, who are losing their lives.
For certain, that's definitely a concern.
Sergeant Skidmore says the last thing he wants to do is get caught up in a pursuit that turns deadly. That's why law enforcement has the authority to disengage from a pursuit at any time. And that won't change with Senate Bill 5352 becoming law.
This is not something that we will use lightly. It's a tool that is essential, I think, for us, when we think about some of the increased crime rates and kind of increased appearance of crimes that we've seen, or heard from people.
Okay, a couple of other things this new law requires: more training for police officers, as well as a plan to end these pursuits through intervention options like spike strips. Back to you.
Mike, thank you.